What's up everyone, it's the Marshal Commander back with another Star Wars video, and today we're going to be going over the top 5 worst clone and Jedi duos. Now, you may not agree with this list, but I will be giving my reasoning to try and convince you. So make sure to comment who you believe is the worst clone and Jedi duo before this list, then let me know if my list changed your mind. Oh yeah, I thank you all for helping me get over 300 subscribers last video. Well, now we're at 530. Let's keep it up. Thank you all for the support in joining the Grand Army. Now, let's hop into the video. Number 5. Starting off this list at number 5, we have Anakin Skywalker and Commander Fox. Now, the reason they don't place any higher on this list is simply due to the fact that these two aren't really a duo that has to work together, since they don't serve in the same corps. These two do not get along, but I do feel like Anakin to some extent respects him, simply due to the fact that he has saved and protected both Padme and Chancellor Palpatine, two people who are extremely close to Anakin. I think their disliking of one another definitely only starts due to Fox following Tarkin's orders after arresting Ahsoka, which in turn makes it so Anakin isn't allowed to see his young Padawan. Then of course the death of Fives, one of the closest clones to Anakin. They even made it on my best duos part 2 list. Overall, I don't think this duo is bad. They're actually both similar to each other in many ways, but they're definitely not a good duo, and Vader even kills Fox in the future. That's why they get number 5 on this list. Number 4. Next up we have Nadar Veb and Commander Phil. Now this duo actually did get along pretty well, as we see when Nadar mourns Phil after he is killed by General Grievous's pet Rogwart. Their friendship could put them on my top 5 best clone and Jedi duos list, but friendship isn't everything, especially on the battlefield. Care, responsibility, efficiency, and so much more plays a part in these lists. While Commander Phil was all of those things, Nadar was far from it. He cared for his clones, he wanted revenge when they were killed, but he's also the reason for so many deaths. He took no responsibility for the lives of the clones around him. Every single clone in his unit was killed in an extremely brutal way. Sure, not all were his fault, but some were definitely caused by his recklessness, especially Commander Phil. On top of this, he blames his failures on his troops getting in the way. So yes, while he mourns Phil, he also puts the clones at risk until each of them is dead, and then he eventually dies himself. This duo was not a good one. It would have been much better if Phil served directly under Kit Fisto instead. He probably would have survived. Sadly though, he wasn't that lucky. Number 3. At the third worst clone and Jedi duo, we have Quinlan Vos and Commander Faye. Now, unlike our previous entry with Commander Phil and Nadar Veb, where most of the blame is on Nadar, this duo is horrible because of both of the people. Firstly, Quinlan Vos is reckless, egotistical, and overall just off the rails when it comes to combat, while Commander Faye is a no messing around by the books, mission matters most clone. They are complete opposites of one another, and there's no reason they were ever paired together. But it doesn't end here. These two hated each other. Faye constantly putting superior officers' orders above Quinlan's, telling him the command code is more important than any of his orders, or his morals, and so on. While Vos belittled clones, especially Faye and his unit, calling them lesser beings bred for war and war alone, having no purpose when peace times come. With all this hate, Order 66 was almost a blessing to them. It gave them one time to go at it to the death. Faye wasted no time turning a juggernaut on Vos and blasting him immediately. But he somehow survived, and while on his escape, the duo began hunting each other. In the process, Vos slaughtered many clones. Faye, though, not too appreciative of that, threatened to call down an airstrike, killing not only Vos and himself, but a Wookiee village. Towards the end of the battle, Faye shoots Vos while simultaneously getting stabbed by his lightsaber. Only one survives, and it's not the clone commander. After the death of Faye, Quinlan fakes his death and even has a child with his wife, Colleen Hence. Number 2. Now we get to two of the worst duos, Pong Krell and Captain Rex. This could really be any clone from the 501st and Pong Krell. Whether it be Dogma, Hardcase, Jesse, Fives, or Kix, Pong Krell was the absolute worst Jedi to work under. And I feel bad for whatever clone unit had him originally. There's one major reason I decided to choose Rex, and that is because Rex is the leader of the 501st and always under the direct authority of Krell, while his troops are under the direct authority of him. I really think this one goes without saying. Krell was simply a monster claiming the title of Jedi. It doesn't get much worse than what he did. Throughout the Umbara arc, we see him view clones as less than human, purposely sending them to their deaths, and attempting to kill them via firing squad just because they disobeyed an order, but succeeded. It only gets worse when he sends troops from the 501st and 212th to kill each other on Umbara. And then when he's busted, the scumbag begins slaughtering even more clones from both units, while they attempt to arrest him. After a long fight, the clones arrest him, and he is killed by the clone who blindly followed him, Dogma. So at least he got what was coming. Number 1. Then finally, in my opinion, the absolute worst clone and Jedi duo there is, Depa Billaba and CRC-09571, also known as 7-1. Now many of you may not know the story of these two, so I'll dig into it a little bit. We actually see them in the Legends novel Shatterpoint by Matt Stover. In this novel, Mace Windu's Padawan, Depa Billaba, is assigned to aid in the war on Harun Kal, Mace Windu's home planet. It's a long story, but Depa turns to the dark side eventually due to the horrors of the Summertime War and the influence of Car Vaster, the last of Mace Windu's family. Sometime after this, Mace Windu arrives to the planet and finds the many horrors left behind. Slaughtered clone troopers, bodies upon bodies piled up on top of each other, hidden away in LAATs and so many other places, all killed by Billaba and Vaster. 7-1 wasn't an exception. After it was clear Vaster and Billaba were both consumed by darkness, Mace Windu ordered 7-1 and his men to only take orders directly from him, since his Padawan was now relieved from her duties. He then ordered 7-1 and his troops to get the prisoners of war out of the area, away from Vaster and Billaba, as they were at risk of being killed by the two bloodthirsty individuals, and if there was any confrontation, to use lethal force to protect himself, his brothers, and the prisoners. Less than 10 pages later, Billaba and Vaster murder the regimental commander and his men for not taking orders from them. In my honest opinion, this is one of the more tragic stories of a clone and Jedi duo. It's almost like the Umbara arc we see on screen, but much more dark and brutal. And to add on to the sadness, this was only 7-1's third deployment and first one as a regimental commander, so he just got promoted. He truly didn't deserve the fate, and it goes to show he was one of the unluckiest clones paired up with the worst of the worst Jedi. Luckily in canon though, this doesn't happen. We don't know what happens to 7-1, but we can hope he and the other clones of the 416th Star Corps got a general who didn't murder them. And we also know Depa Billaba also has a better story, as her and Commander Grey have one of the best duo ships out there. Bonus round. So when I spoke about making this video in my first best clone and Jedi duos video, link in the description, I actually got a comment from Omnipulsar challenging me to make a list without Krell. Now, I wasn't going to exclude Krell completely, due to the fact that I'm sure many people, 100%, expect to see him on this list. He's one of the worst generals out there. There was no way I was leaving him off, so I decided for this video I'd add a little bonus slot just to show I could have made a list without him. So thank you, Omnipulsar. Challenge accepted. At number 0, I guess, we have Quinlan Vos and Commander Bly. Now sure, their partnership gets less tense eventually, but it stays pretty heated for a while. While on a deployment to Hanagar, searching for chemical weapons that the CIS planned on using against the Republic and its troops, the duo was ambushed by the native species to the planet known as the Nagiri, and they lost many clones in the process. But they were saved by Aayla Secura's former master, Quinlan Vos. While Aayla trusted her master's words that he was still a double agent, only spying for the Jedi, Bly recognized Vos as a threat immediately due to his alliance with Count Dooku and betrayal of the Republic. We can see after this, there was almost some form of pettiness. Firstly, Bly is forced to draw the fire of the Nagiri when he's the only non-force sensitive. Then he is left for dead by Vos when they trigger booby traps. Somehow, he miraculously survives. Then lastly, right after this, Quinlan draws his lightsaber on Aayla and throws Bly into a wall with the Force when he attempts to get a shot off. Vos wins the duel with his former apprentice and prepares to kill her, but she is saved when Bly wakes up from his unconsciousness and shoots at Vos twice. The first shot is to the shoulder and it connects. The second one was aiming to kill, which would have been the end for the renegade Jedi had Secura not deflected it in an attempt to turn her former master back to the light. It only gets worse when you remember back to earlier in the video when I talk about how Quinlan Vos sees and treats clones. Overall, this duo would have never worked, and it would have definitely ended in Bly happily gunning the Jedi General down. Anyways, that's all for the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know who your least favorite clone and Jedi duo was before this list, then let me know if this list made you dislike another duo even more. And give me a reason why to spice it up. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Grand Army. I'll see you all in the next one, and may the Force be with you.
Looks like we got ourselves a batch of shinies, Commander. It's shiny and new, just like you.
I have to admit that without the clones it would not have been a victory.